Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by. Already a lot going on in the chat. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. My presentation itself, I kept it short because I do want to emphasize some of the other things about doing free stuff. But welcome to my corner of interwebs. Let me know that you can hear me, all that jazz. My name is Devin Gambrell-Clark. I write under Devin Gambrell. I am writing fantasy and steampunk with snarky female leads and a splash of romance. I'm also the founder of I'll Call Indie, which is a database of freelancers for indie authors, and most of those freelancers are indie authors themselves. I want to give a huge thank you to SD Huston and Margaret Pernard, who are the three of us are the huge backbone of the AWC. This is fantastic. I hadn't even heard of it until Shannon asked me if I could help out. Thank you to my moderators. And with all of that, I have a pre-recorded video because I don't trust the weather where I am currently, and glitches happen and no tech gremlins. We can shoo them away. But my main thing for this presentation on how to write and market your book for free is to not give anyone the excuse that they don't have the money to do it. The majority of your money will go to publishing or cover design. You don't need the fancy programs. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And I will be hanging out in the chats for you guys. Welcome to my presentation on how to write and market your book for free before you send an editor for this year's Authortube Writer Conference 2024. I hope everyone's having a great weekend so far, and let's get started. I just want to let everyone know that I will not be going over pricing details for these programs because those are always subject to change, and I want this presentation to be good for at least the next few years. All right, so the act of writing and publishing is free. You should not have to pay for either of those, unless you are working with a ghostwriter, but we are not talking about that at this time. And publishing, you should never have to pay for because when you upload your book to a publisher, they take those costs when the book is sold, and in return, you receive royalties. Now, everything else in between when you're trying to write before you publish can bleed you dry. So I'm going to show you how to keep those costs down, from learning how to write creatively to finding a word processor, self-editing, and marketing your story before you pass it off to a cover designer and an editor. It is possible. And I'm going to cover everything from the equipment, like I said, and the word processor, spell checker, story organization, craft books, marketing. I will have special notes on cover design and formatting to help with writing creatively. I'm going to talk about critique partners, alpha readers, and beta readers, and what editors actually do, so you don't have to pay for those extra programs. So the equipment, computer, tablet, or phone. If you have a computer, that's awesome. If you have a tablet, great. If you don't have either of those, not a problem. Most cell phones nowadays are handheld tablets and can hold everything you need to write your story. And by now, most of us should have a phone, since they are mini computers, and you do not have to get caught up in needing the latest and greatest. While it's nice to have the bigger screen and the full keyboard, you don't need it. So save the money, stick with what you have. I would say make sure you back up your work by either emailing it to yourself, going to a library, downloading it on a thumb drive. Save your stuff. I have left some videos in the description on how to write using your phone by other Authortubers. they either experimented with writing on the phone or they walk you through the step-by-step process. So be sure to check those out. Word processors. This is what you're going to use to write your story by creating worlds with words. Microsoft Word is a paid word processor. Scrivener, Dabble, Campfire Writing also have word processors, but those can do more than just help you write your story. They can also help you organize your world building and research. Some free alternatives for you. If you have a Windows device or any type of PC, there's Notepad, there's Pages for Mac, Google Docs, of course, everyone knows that, Office Suite, and WPS Office. I have used WPS Office. It is a great writing program. I had it downloaded on my Kindle Fire tablet when I would write my short stories. It's easily convertible. I could change it to a PDF, or I could change it to whichever I needed at the time. They also have other programs for free, such as the equivalent of Excel and I believe Power Sheets is what they call it for PowerPoint. But yes, those two are free, and they're also linked in the description if you want to download them. Spell checkers. A lot of people spend money on the spell checkers like Pro Writing Aid and Grammarly. Those are the big name ones. While both of those do have a free service, you're often prompted to upgrade. Now, if you want to avoid those annoying pop-ups, you can stick with the autocorrect programs that already come with your word processor or your phone. The bane of every texter's existence for your phone. But if you are using Notepad or any other program and you want a more in-depth spell checker for sentence clarity and to make sure that you're on track with the reading level, you can upload your story to Hemingway App Editor. That is a web-based service that can guide you through correcting your story. Now, they do not save. Keep that in mind. If you upload your whole document and if you're in the middle of editing that and you lose connectivity, it's gone. So when I first started using that program, I would copy and paste about 3 paragraphs at a time, make my edits, and then copy and paste it back into the document so I did not lose a lot of work. You'd be surprised how often your internet or Wi-Fi will glitch and you lose everything. Story organization for plotters, pansters, and plansters. There is an organizational tool for everyone. Aside from Scrivener, Plottr, World Anvil, Campfire Writing that have limited free versions, there are equally free places and programs to organize everything from your online research to your outline and plotting, however you need to use it, it's available to you. And those are the snowflake method, that is a plotting outline. Literally do a search, copy and paste it into a document or a note app, and you can fill it out from there. You can put a note section on the bottom for any research you come across, for reminders on your story. Notion is huge for plotting, research, and world building. There are a ton of authors with free templates, from everything based on genre to specifically world building. They have it. You just need to reach out to your communities and ask around. Save the Cat Writes a Novel has free worksheets online. Again, do a search in there, and then you can download those PDFs and fill them out at your convenience. Another free resource that you can look into are the outline templates for word processors. Just about every word processor has an outline template that's normally used for essay writing, but you can use it for world building, plotting, and things like that. Craft books. Craft books are awesome to have. They help you with your writing, editing, marketing, and anything else that'll help you move your story and your author journey forward. There are a lot of them, and there are some that I would recommend that you do get, but you don't need them. Now, aside from getting the craft books from your library, you can just do a search with your question in a web browser. Now, other than getting the craft books from your library, you can just use your search engine with your question to get the answers that you need, and make sure that you copy and paste whatever information you get and put it into your document or wherever you're storing your notes. And you can, and of course it's the internet, so you can search everything from a perfect word to how to write a realistic fight scene. Some free places that you might want to check are Pinterest is huge. I also follow some of my authors' blogs when they talk about their writing and where they find their information. Authortube as well here on YouTube. If you have a question, type it in. There's an author out there who has an answer to it. Now, something else that I don't have listed here is to join writing groups or author groups online. This is a community that is very helpful and supportive to you, and likely somebody will also have an answer to any of your questions. Marketing, and I had to break this down into two because there's a lot you can do, but you do not need to market your book before publishing. Keep that in mind. You don't have to. If you want to build hype, if you want your readers excited for when it is published, then I would suggest that you do market. Social media. Any social media platform will work. There are readers everywhere scattered around. You do not have to sign up for all of them, and all social media platforms are free. Now, I'm not going to get into how to market, the best times to post on what platform. That's something that you can do later once you choose what you want to do. So if you're choosing something like Instagram or Facebook and you want images, Canva has a ton of free templates perfectly sized for those platforms, as well as X. Marketing 2.2, newsletters. MailChimp and MailerLite are the top platforms that I have seen authors use. But to use those, you need a professional email. So you can't have authoryourname@gmail.com. It has to be a legit professional email, and that costs money. You also need a mailing address. Unless you're comfortable putting your mailing address on there, you will need to get a P.O. box, which costs money. Now, some ways around this is to use platforms like Substack, Ko-fi, and Buy Me a Coffee, and a ton of others. Now, those ones also double as blog sites. So when you make a post, it will email anyone subscribed to your page what you posted. So you get a 2-in-1 for that. Blogs and websites. Most blogs are free. The ones I am most familiar with are WordPress, Blogger, and Squarespace. I'm not sure if Wix has a free blog that you can use. But if you have WordPress, it'll be yourname.wordpress.com, and you would have to pay to remove the WordPress. You don't have to do that. You're just starting out. You can upgrade later. There's no big deal. These sites are also the best sites that you can build a link page. So if you have social media accounts, you can add your social media accounts on there. If you have a blog, you can add your blog on there. And it can just be one page with all your information and you can link to your book storefront from there as well. A note on cover design. Don't judge a book by its cover is kind of a lie, because when a reader picks up your book because it caught their eye, it needs to convey your genre. If you pick up a book and it has a wizard, a castle, and a dragon on it, that reader is going to automatically assume that is a fantasy-based book. But if they read that back blurb and it says it is a modern-day romance with none of the elements that are on that cover, they judged your book wrong. So you want to make sure that it matches the genre to catch the right reader. You can create your own book cover yourself with programs like Canva or PicMonkey. But as I said before, make sure of industry trends, and any images you use, be aware of copyright, because you don't want to get in trouble for those. If art isn't in your forte or design isn't there, I would suggest that you pay for your cover art. Critique partners, what I was talking about with writing craft. Critique partners can help you. They're a free resource at your disposal, and they are usually published authors who already know about the writing and self-editing process. They can walk you through it. They can give you feedback on what you've written and what you shared with them. They also have a better understanding of how your story should flow within your genre. So make sure you have a critique partner who knows your genre, or who even writes your genre would be best. And they should also give you honest feedback before you pass it off to your beta readers. Beta and alpha readers. The best way to catch plot holes and inconsistency that you or your critique partner may have missed is to use them. It's free, and you will be surprised by the amount of readers who would love to get their hands on your pre-edited book. That's what an editor is for. So most of your money budget should go towards editing costs. You should not have to pay for a self-editing program like Grammarly and ProWriting Aid. If you are saving money, at the bare minimum, you should get a copy edit. That would help cover the basics, such as what the grammar programs do. Other types of edits, and I have these listed in order. Line editing, which is a developmental line-by-line editing process to improve clarity. Copy edits, grammatical, tone and styles, and correct inconsistencies, along with so much more. A proofread, just before you're getting ready to publish, is a good idea to check for errors missed by anyone, because we're all human. And I do know some authors who do the proofreading process themselves. They will get a copy of their book before it goes live, and they will check for typos and misspelled words. So the final step before you publish is formatting. Now, formatting can be a bit tricky. You can use almost any word processor to format your own book. But there are programs out there like Atticus and Vellum. But if you don't want to spend the money on those, you can do it yourself, or you can pay for a professional formatter. But if you are feeling confident, you can use Microsoft Word, Pages, or Google Docs to format your own book. There are some Authortubers who have Word formatting walkthroughs, and I'll leave all of those linked in the description below. While they do talk about Word, the process is pretty much the same as Pages and Google Docs. You're going to look for line spacing, mirroring, indentations, when to indent, and things like that. So there are some resources online for you for that. But overall, thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed these free ideas. Just a quick recap. You can change anything after your book is published or just before you publish your book. That is the beauty of writing. It can always be updated or changed. You can release a volume 2. You can unpublish some works to put out a better product later down the road when you have the money to do it. Don't let perfection stop you from writing your book, because there is somebody out there who needs your story. Writing and publishing are free. Collaborating with writing groups or authors can help you save money when learning how to write creatively. And most of your budget should go to cover design and editing. And that's it. Thanks again for listening. And if you have any questions, I will see you in the chats. All right, everyone. I'm glad with all of the chats and everything like that. There were a few things that I missed and I wasn't sure. I saw ISBNs in there. You can do the free ones, and you can get your own ISBNs later for when you re-upload your book. Oh, yes. Oh, I do have some start things that I wanted to share. AGL's laptop died last year and used tablet with keyboard just fine. Yep. Yes, there are the links for Office Suite and WPS. And like I said, WPS was a breeze. It reminded me just like Microsoft Word, which is what I currently use. PNY has a Duo drive to move your items from phone to another device. That is so cool. I will have to find that. Yes. I watched this video. It was very good. And there is also Dale's when he wrote his book on his phone. So it is possible. I think, though, with Dale's video, like he said, he needed to get a Bluetooth keyboard because the tiny screen was just too much. Yes, Morgan's presentation was fantastic. Save the Cat beat sheets. Oh, one thing that a friend of mine did too is she didn't want to purchase Save the Cat, so I took pictures of the pages that she was interested in and sent it to her via text message. Margaret said, binged on craft books early. It just burns the collection recently. Yeah, declutter. Sometimes you just run out of space. Although that could be an excuse to get more bookshelves. Yes, please subscribe and smash the like button. And do not forget about the feedback form. Some other things that I wanted to touch on for free. Definitely use the resources like this AWC conference has a ton of stuff, including some of the giveaways where you can get prizes for free readings or critiques and things like that. Also, I'll Call Indie, the database that me and my critique partner, C. Phillips, made, has a lot of almost everything you need for indie publishing: cover design, editing, formatting, map making, and things like that. And we try once a month to reach out to our freelancers if they're running a deal and post those at the beginning of the month. So those are on Substack. We'll collect all of the giveaways or discounts and things like that and post them at the beginning of every month. we're hoping to get better on that because it's been busy for both her and I to grab that information. But are there any other questions, or does anyone have anything that I may have missed for free or otherwise? Any experiences you'd like to share? Yes, network. Definitely network. If it weren't for networking, I would not have met my critique partners. I would not have met Margaret or Shannon. Thank you for the boot. Oh, Margaret says it's a lot of trial and error for critique partners. Yes, writing tools, publishing platforms. Advice, keep breathing, take it one step at a time or as many as you can. Absolutely. I know I'm missing a lot of people, but there is a lot. There's more here than I'm used to. Here is the feedback form. A bunch of hellos. Hit the like button. I think it's sort of what, God, I missed that previous comment. All right. What else do I have here in my notes? Yeah, I finished that way faster than I was expecting. But I could talk about I'll call indie. So when I was a little over halfway through with my book and I was already involved in several communities, I had oh yes, here is, thank you, DL, for published both of her short stories for like $35 and the second costed $100. That's not bad at all. Not at all. But I remember several of these people who did like, I'll critique your first 1,000 words, or I edit this, I do formatting. But I kept scrolling through social media trying to find them, and I couldn't. So it ruminated for about 3 months before I finally asked my critique partner, like, hey, here's my pitch. What do you think? And she said, oh, I'll help you with that. I'm like, that's fantastic. And then All Call Indie was made. And literally that was just a fluke because she said, shouldn't we have a hashtag? I'm like, how about All Call Indie? And then we just named it that. It was great. All right, I see a cue. What was the first time you paid for a freelancer in your writing publishing journey? I did pay for an alpha reader because I gave myself an unrealistic deadline. And truthfully, with the first book, I should have just waited. But it was good feedback. It was reasonably priced, and I found her on Fiverr. But my editing and cover designer were both freelancers from Enchanted Ink Publishing, which Natalia Lee is the founder of. Oh, and I paid for all 5 of my book covers when I was still at the day job because I knew how Huston expense that would not have worked out later. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, definitely in today's economy. Oh, I don't even want to think about the grocery shop I'm getting ready to do. Question, how do you know which freelancers to pick? Basically, how do you vet the freelancers you use? So the freelancers that I chose, I had been following on Authortube for quite a while, or on social media. I definitely read reviews. I asked the people who had their work done, how was their communication with them, and it takes me a long time to come to a decision on something. So I probably sat on it for about 4 or 5 months before I actually made the decision to reach out. And then it was almost too late because editing books out far in advance. So yes, but that is how I vet them. The chat keeps moving on me. People start publishing a series with only the first book written. So brave. Right. Yes. I did mine backwards though. I wasn't even expecting to publish. Piggyback on Andy's question, how do you know if a freelancer's prices are reasonable? Fair. Lots of places I've seen want to do a free edit quote, and I don't want to go down that road without a price. I compared prices and word counts to about 6. I had 6 on my list that I wanted to look at. And out of those 6, 3 had a huge social media following, so I was able to ask questions that way. And I saw a comment from Margaret. First freelance was probably the first cover for Memories Hostage, about $100. Nice. Another thing that I did, I had a list. I don't know if I still have that list, but I made columns like what you see when companies compare prices with the products that they do, and I wrote it down that way by hand. I trade beta and art because I have 0 budget. Right. I have not paid for betas or arcs, just the alpha read because I needed a detailed thing. Heather was my sensitivity reader, and she started off as a beta. She gave me some feedback, and I'm like, yeah, I might need to know more about this. So we switched her from a beta to sensitivity reader. So she is another freelancer that I purchase services for. And I really did need it because I was unfamiliar with the topic and I didn't know that it was a hot topic. What was that? Don't attack me that way. But that's how you see if you like their style. Chapter. Yes. Also, some of those freelancers had send me your first chapter or first 5 chapters, and they would give a free sample back without paying for a service. So you can see how your communication would flow, especially via email, because I did not contact anyone through the phone. It was all email. I think the editing is the most expensive part. Yes. Do you think this is true? Are there things you think are more in the process? Editing is definitely the most expensive, especially if you want to go beyond the copy editing. Now, my first book, I did not pay for line editing. I am doing line editing for book 2, just because I saw the difference when I did get my sample back. I just didn't have the funds for the first book. And I'm probably not going to go back to the first book and do a re-edit on it. I hope that answered your question. Let's see. Saying hello. Did it with the Revelation Night trilogy, and the 3rd book remains for free on Inkitt because everyone hates the ending. Oh no. Surely not everyone hates the ending. Editing has definitely been the most expensive. Yes. Yes. Don't want to waste time if they change too much, and my social anxiety makes it hard for me to tell people no, especially same. I have a hard time saying no, but when I first started working with my editor, and I literally, when I sent my book to her, I had a list of questions that were already answered in YouTube videos and previous emails, but they went through and answered it anyway, and assured me that no repeated question or dumb question was dumb. Worth it. Also, their price depends on your genre, place. Yes. Um, fantasy, like epic fantasy with the higher word counts, you're going to pay more per word. And I don't know if this needs to be said, but I will say it anyway in case anyone's new. Choose an editor for your genre. And also choose your beta readers for your genre. And that's about as far as I'll go with that. Read a real nice email paragraph saying it's not a good fit at this time. Yes. I'm not good with emails, with email responses. I'm good with asking questions. Yes, 80%. That sounds about right. Yep. For covers, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about Facebook, but I'm part of a lot of cover designer groups that have sales, and covers can be anywhere from $50 to $200 for a decent pre-made cover. Yes, that is about the average that I saw as well. I paid for all 5 of my covers up front, like I said, before I quit, and I think I paid a total of $800 for all 5 books, for what I wanted, what I chose. So it could be different. If I had chosen a different scheme for the books, that would have changed the price for the art wise. So keep that in mind too, depending on how you want your books to appear. Paid a good amount for a dark fantasy cover. Can't make covers, so I can skip, which is good, which is always good. If you have that talent, roll with it. Heather, a lot of freelancers do free samples. Yes. Jinx. Oh, I'm way behind on the chats, aren't I? Let's see. To different editors. I actually ended up going with the more expensive one because I didn't like the amount of quality. Yeah. And the editor I went through was kind of like a mid-range thing. When I got my first samples back from a couple of others, it was kind of like, meh. My writing program already has that, and I was using the free Grammarly at the time. So, wasting someone's time. Yeah, don't worry about wasting someone's time. It is their decision. Yep. Question. Do you think it's worth paying for all 3 levels of editing? Or is there one that you could do yourself, or one that you could really should outsource? Like I said, bare minimum, copy edits. Bare minimum. I don't trust myself. I am not that good. My punctuation is horrible. Don't ask me where a comma is really supposed to go, and forget punctuation with dialogue. That is out the window. But when I got my manuscript back from my editor, my final one, and she, helpfully, this is how you put this here, this is how you put that there. And I'm like, okay. Developmental align editing is if you want to do it. I have seen people who go through the line editing process, and even when I got my samples back from line editing, it flowed so much better. It depends on how much money you want to spend. That's what it boils down to. And like I said, you can always go back later. Yeah. That could, there may be some non-monetary factors that can impact your decision. Highly recommend if you're studying a sample to use as a chapter from the middle, as those chapters tend to be. That is true. That is true. And that's something I didn't even think about doing, sending the middle chapters. Don't think I've ever paid for a sample edit. Most editors I've worked with did so many pages, words for free to see if style matches right. Margaret, 100% correct. If they're professionals, they won't mind taking the time to engage and give you a quote, anything else. Absolutely. And to be honest, I didn't pick any editors that didn't have a free like sample edit, because I didn't want to like jump in and pay all the money and then it not be good, because it does happen to some people. Your cat is watching. It's a good thing my dog isn't in here. They're actually locked up at the moment. Is taking the leader of a spay with her and leaves her infant son with father. I mean, I want to read it just to see why it ends the way it ends. Line editing is very expensive. It is the most expensive one. Will have to be my help until, yes. I rely heavily on my beta readers and my critique partner for this alone, just to not pay for the line editing. Oh, and the only reason why I'm going with line editing this time is because I lost 2 of my beta readers to military moves. So I have 2 readers right now. Try to decide that work up among colleagues and a paid freelancer. No one has beta caveat it. Though that's a lot of work to. Yes. Oh yeah, proofreaders. Actually, I have a friend of mine who was also my early beta reader. She did my proofreading for free. All I had to do was send her a $25 gift card for a coffee. So community, people, community and readers, especially if you have readers who are English, good with the English or have English degrees. Okay, is new adult a genre or an audience then? I've seen people say one or the other. I want to say maybe both. I want to say that it's both. For the audience, new adult audience, want to read stories about other new adults, which would make it a genre, I think. Editors who will only do paid samples are those with lots of experience and lots of knowledge, but of course they will be more expensive. Right. Very true about the editors. 3 different editors since I write different genres. Yes. I feel you, Margaret. I can do a lot of pretty stuff in Canva for like my Ream stories, but that's as far as I go. 100% agree. If your editor betas don't read your genre, they aren't going to know the common tropes right. And I did make a mistake with that. I was so excited somebody wanted to read it that I just like, here. And it wasn't their thing. They had no idea what was happening. Say the one who had a beta reader, tell her that vampires and demons didn't belong. Ah, yes. Thank you, Eloise. Let me check the time. All right. So JD has a talk about covers, and he is coming up next. Yes, collaborating for the perfect cover is next at 12 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. DL taught herself. Again, people, there's that feedback form. Don't miss out on any of the prizes. Here's a list of books that say you were absolutely wrong. Oh, when you self-edit, you go back to front? Oh, that's a good idea. Because when I self-edit, I tend to just start reading the story, and if something sounds off, I change it. So I don't get that deep into the self-editing process. Clapping. Question, what are your thoughts on switching freelancers between books in a series? I don't know if it's absolutely necessary. Then yes, I was actually kind of worried that I wouldn't have the same editor for this book. So I really had my fingers crossed. Luckily, she had one slot left available. I think for book 2, I don't know, I think what I would do is when I email my manuscripts, like, hey, this is my first book. This is kind of what's going on, or give them the overall more in-depth synopsis so they don't have to stop and spend time reading the first book or 2 or 3 in the middle of the series. That would be my best guess. That's kind of what I had in mind if I didn't get the same editor this time around. Yes, check out the presentation. I have done developmental edit once and it was a waste. Oh no. But for sure, copy editing, proofreading, and line are worth it. Right. Big into developmental edits. That's what my sister is for. That's awesome. Sent the first chapter to an editor for a sample. There was barely any feedback. She gave me a quote, and then 6 months later, her price doubled. Oh no. But if I do invest in developmental edits, it's going to be with an expert in the genre whose strengths are where my weaknesses are. Right. Absolutely. Yes, ouch. That is so not cool. I'm also big into developmental editing. I found a great guy who understands I need pacing help. Yes, that is a good thing to do. So if you know what your weaknesses are, list it front and center when you email them. Here is my book. These are my problems. These are the problems I need help with. Like I knew straight away punctuation was not my thing. And she did not. In her feedback of my first book, she gave me the more obvious corrections. But when I was going through and reading all of the corrections she made, I'm like, yeah, I probably should have known that. So she knew ahead of time where my weaknesses were. Beta readers are the lifeline. Yes. Yes. Now that I have all of my stuff and my giveaways done, I am sending stuff out to my beta readers as well as a huge thank you for all that they do. Trey can just fall asleep on the keyboard. All right, so there you go. New adult is basically YA with more explicit themes. That sounds about right. I'm not a huge reader of young adult. I will read it if the story is catchy, but it's not my major thing. I love the more adult theme-based stuff. Definitely adult fantasy, horror, sci-fi, true crime aspect. It's an audience category, but there's not an agreed upon type of story for it. Oh, okay. So wouldn't exactly call it a genre. So Heather says, sorry, DL, they should have said whether or not your story needed it. Right. And I like to put in the scene breaks like crazy. Like their mood changes, I want to break a scene break. And he's like, no, this is not a comical break. Need to chat about lots of things. I thought the editor was a fit from her sample, but turned out she was not what she put out, even though she had a great resume and I checked her work, but nope, I just paid money. Yeah, sometimes people lie and sometimes you're not going to catch it, especially like when they remove reviews. That's why if there's a social media following and somebody had their work done through that person, I like to reach out to that person like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What were your pros and cons of working with this person? Sometimes author in your genre will do editing, will also do editing, proofreading, or they recommend people. It's where that networking comes in. Yes. And you would be surprised the amount of people who have these services say, hey, I'm fully booked right now, but so and so and so and so have an opening. Do you want their email? I'll email them for you. Nope. It jumped on me. It makes such a difference if they read in your genre. I took creative writing course. I was the only one of 10 that wrote fantasy. Yeah. Oh, something else my editor did when I received her email. She said that she would read my book first and then she would start on the edits. And she built my, oh goodness, what's that sheet called? The sheet where they put like titles of characters and things in it. I know what it is. It's just not coming. Yeah, that's super bad. Networking people. I use back to front thing with entering credit card details online. Even if it's not freelance works, there's so many talented people in this community that are experts in unexpected things. So don't be afraid to throw your question out there to your village. Yes. Yes, absolutely. For switching people and for yourself, keep a series Bible. Right. I am actually thinking about doing a series on my series Bible, just a short one, like maybe 3 or 4 videos, because I tend to delve deep. Deep. So Margaret's presentation yesterday on when to stop was a good one. I already had some items in place to not derail myself from writing, but definitely got a lot more information. What is this witchcraft you speak of? Me too. Copy editing was also no good. Oh my gosh. That's not good. Not good at all. Tell them what your weak sparks are so they know what to look for. Right. Punctuation. Horrible with punctuation. It's like this was an excellent mystery, but where were the foxes? Foggy Fox Mysteries. Ah, it's also descriptive prose one. Oh, here's a question. Would you be willing to wait for the same editor? Personally, I would, but curious. I would be willing to wait for an editor, but probably not for these next two books, though. I'm also considering on whether or not to reach out to her to book her, even though I'm not even halfway through book 3, just because it ends on a soft cliffhanger and I don't want to wait that long. And she knows the story. But yeah, I probably would wait. Maybe work on a different project, like one of my shorter ones. Definitely inspired to get back to my short story writing from this conference and rely mostly on beta readers for the short stories. Because if it's under 7,000 words, I can do my own copy edits. Which was also kind of hilarious. All right. All right, that is what's next. And it looks like I have about 4 minutes left. I'm going to skim through the comments and look for any more questions. Don't forget the feedback form. Hydrate, move around. We have been sitting here for almost an hour. Skimming through, skimming. Yes, all right. I am not seeing any more questions. So who is next? Of course, we talked about JD Estrada collaborating for the perfect cover. We also have Descriptive Prose Workshop with Laura Nettles. And I wrote Every Day for a Year. This is what I learned with Natalie Forsland. I hope I said your name right. 5 editing mistakes and how to fix them with the Dialogue Doctor. And Genre Expectations and When to Bend Them by Writing Mom Samantha L. Nassif. Who's excited? I'm excited. I'm going to be stream hopping, but definitely I'll be going back to catch some replays. All right, thanks everybody again for stopping by. If you have any additional questions, leave them in the comments. I have it in my calendar to check for comments. It won't be a week like some other things have been doing. But yes, thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by. And yeah, we've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Thank you.